My mother used a pilfered key to let my brother's wife into my home. My name is Clara. And 6 months ago, I did something my family never anticipated. I bought a house, a beautiful 3-bedroom craftsman in the heart of Riverside Heights, complete with a wraparound porch, gleaming hardwood floors, and a kitchen straight out of a design magazine. I'd been dreaming of this place since I was 12, sketching floor plans in my notebook during math class. But here's the catch. I kept it a secret. Not a word to my parents, my brother Ethan, or even my best friend Nora. This house was my sanctuary, my triumph, my chance to finally own something entirely mine. Growing up as the middle child in the Hartford family, I was used to being overlooked. Ethan, my older brother, was the golden child. A high school quarterback star with a business degree from Northwestern, married to his college sweetheart Leela, and now running Dad's construction firm. My younger sister Megan was the creative one, pursuing her MFA in Chicago, funded by our parents. And me, I was just Clara, the sensible one who worked 2 jobs through community college, saved every cent, and never asked for anything. While Ethan got a down payment for his first house and Megan got tuition, I got lectures about financial responsibility. So, when I saved enough for a down payment after 5 years as a dental hygienist and running a weekend photography business, I decided to prove myself. I found the perfect house, got pre-approved for a mortgage, and made an offer all without telling a soul. The seller, Mrs. Whitmore, was moving to Florida to be near her grandchildren. She was thrilled that a young woman was buying her family home, where she'd raised her own kids. During the walkthrough, she shared stories of backyard birthday parties, Christmas mornings by the hearth, and how the kitchen window offered a perfect view of neighborhood kids heading to school. "This house needs a family again," she said, pressing the keys into my hand on closing day. "It's been waiting for the right person." For 3 months, I quietly furnished it piece by piece. After work, I'd drive over, sometimes just to sit on the porch swing and watch the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink. I planted tulip bulbs in the front garden and hung string lights in the backyard. I even adopted a rescue cat, a ginger tabby named Pumpkin, who seemed to understand the importance of our little secret. The plan was simple. Live there quietly for a few months, settle in, and then reveal the news to my family at Christmas dinner. I'd casually mention my new home and watch their jaws drop as they realized their irresponsible daughter had bought a house on her own. But life has a way of upending even the best-laid plans. On a Tuesday morning in late October, everything unraveled. I was at work, cleaning Mrs. Dorsey's teeth and listening to her complain about her son-in-law's eating habits, when my phone pinged with a notification from my security camera app. Yes, I'd installed cameras, call me paranoid, but as a single woman living alone, I wasn't taking risks after binge-watching true crime documentaries. The cameras discreetly covered the front door, back door, and driveway. I rarely checked them during work hours, but something urged me to glance at my phone between patients. My heart stopped. There, on my front porch, was my mother, clear as day. She wasn't alone. She was with Leela, Ethan's wife, and a blonde woman in a fancy coat I didn't recognize. Mom was rummaging in her purse, then pulled out a key to my house. I watched, horrified, as she unlocked my front door and ushered the others inside. The timestamp showed they'd been there for 7 minutes already. "Mrs. Dorsey, I'm so sorry. I have a family emergency," I said, my voice steady despite the panic in my chest. "We'll need to reschedule." I drove home like a woman possessed, my mind racing. How did Mom get a key? How did she even know about the house? And why was she giving tour to Leela and a stranger? By the time I reached Maple Ridge Drive, they were gone, but the evidence of their intrusion was everywhere. The front door was slightly ajar. Mom was always careless about locking up. Inside, I found moved furniture, opened cabinets, and the fridge door slightly open. But it was the note on my kitchen counter, in Mom's unmistakable handwriting, that pushed me over the edge. "Clara, honey, I know you're upset, but this is for the best. Leela and Caroline, my realtor friend, think this property has great potential. We'll talk tonight. Love, Mom, P.S. Cute cat." I sank onto my couch, the one I'd saved for 3 months to buy, chosen to fit this exact space, and tried to process it. My mother had somehow found my house, obtained a key, and was showing it to potential buyers without my knowledge or consent. The betrayal hit like a punch. This wasn't just about the house. It was about everything. Every time I was ignored, my achievements dismissed, treated as the afterthought child who couldn't possibly know what was best. I called Mom immediately. "Oh good, you got my note," she said, as if breaking into someone's home was a casual Tuesday activity. "Listen, sweetie, I know you're probably confused." "Confused?" I snapped. "Mom, how did you get a key to my house?" "Well, Mrs. Whitmore's daughter is in my book club, and when she mentioned selling to a young Hartford girl, I put two and two together. I've been worried sick about you living in that neighborhood alone. It's not safe for a single woman, and honestly, the mortgage must be straining your budget." The neighborhood was one of the safest in town, but that wasn't the point. "So, you got a spare key and decided to show my house to strangers." Leela mentioned she and Ethan might be interested in a rental property as an investment, and Caroline's the best realtor in the county. I thought. I hung up. That evening, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Mom, then Ethan, then Dad with his usual, "Let's all calm down and talk reasonably" tone. I ignored them all and spent the night researching locksmiths. But avoidance only works for so long. The next day, Ethan showed up at my workplace. "Bryn, we need to talk," he said, using the childhood nickname that usually softened me. "Not today, Ethan. I'm working." Mom told me what happened. Look, I had no idea she was going to do that. Leela mentioned wanting to look at investment properties, and Mom just, you know how she gets when she thinks she's helping. I finished updating a patient's chart before responding. Ethan, at 32, still had the same dark hair and green eyes we all inherited from Dad, dressed in his usual khakis and button-down, looking every bit the successful businessman. "How long have you known?" I asked. "Known what?" "About the house, Ethan. How long have you known I bought a house?" He looked sheepish. "Mom figured it out about a month ago. She was worried, said you'd been acting secretive. She asked me to talk to you, but I told her to mind her own business." "Clearly, she listened," I said dryly. "Clara, come on, she's just trying to look out for you." "That neighborhood is perfectly safe," I said. "And even if it wasn't, it's my choice. I'm 28, Ethan. I don't need Mom's permission to buy a house." "Of course not, but maybe you could have told us. We're family." The word family hung between us like a challenge. To Ethan, family meant unconditional support and shared milestones. To Megan, it meant financial backing for her art. To me, it meant skepticism, lectures, and the assumption I couldn't make decisions alone. "I'll call Mom tonight," I said finally. "But Ethan, if you, Leela, or anyone else shows up at my house uninvited again, I'm calling the police. That's not a threat, it's a promise." His face flushed. "Jesus, Bryn, she's our mother, not a criminal. She broke into my house with a key I didn't give her." The waiting room started staring, so I lowered my voice. "I have to get back to work. We'll talk later." As Ethan left, I saw that familiar look, annoyance mixed with pity, as if I was being difficult for standing up for myself. That night, I called a locksmith. On Thursday evening, Mom's voice rang through my new deadbolt. "Clara Marie Hartford, open this door right now." I sat on my couch, Pumpkin purring in my lap, watching through the window as she pounded on the door. "I know you're in there. Your car's in the driveway." I'd anticipated this since the locksmith, Caleb from Secure Solutions, left that morning. He'd installed new deadbolts, doorknob locks, and a gate lock, nodding knowingly when I described it as a family boundary issue. "Family disputes are the worst," he'd said, testing the keys. "Good for you for taking control." Now, watching Mom's frantic attempts to get in, I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and guilt. My phone rang. Mom, of course. "Clara, this is ridiculous. Open the door so we can talk like adults." "We can talk through the door, Mom, or you can call first next time like a normal person. Normal people don't change locks to keep their mothers out. Normal mothers don't break into their kids' houses." Silence. "Then, honey, I know you're upset. I should have asked before showing the house, but I was worried. This neighborhood, this mortgage, it's too much for someone in your position." "My position? You know what I mean. You're doing well, sweetheart, but this house is ambitious. Ethan and Leela could help with the financial burden if you rented it to them, or you could sell for a profit and get something more appropriate." Appropriate. The word that had haunted me my whole life. Clara's job was appropriate for someone not college-bound. Her apartment was appropriate for a single woman. Her car was appropriate for her budget. But this house, this beautiful, perfect house I'd earned, was somehow inappropriate for someone like me. "Mom, I'm not selling my house." But if you just listen to Caroline's advice, I don't care about Caroline's advice or Ethan and Leela's investment plans. This is my house, and I'm keeping it. Clara Marie, you're being stubborn and short-sighted. This is the impulsive decision-making that worries your father and me. I stepped to the window, looking at her familiar expression of frustrated concern. I'm not shutting out my family, Mom. I'm setting boundaries. If you want to visit, you call and ask permission. If I say no, you respect it. You don't give tour without my consent. I was trying to help you see your options. I didn't ask for your help. Silence again. When she spoke, her voice was thick with hurt and anger. Fine, have it your way. But don't come crying to us when this house becomes too much, and don't expect us to bail you out when you realize you've made a mistake. She hung up, stormed to Dad's old Ford truck, and drove off with a screech. The next 2 weeks were the loneliest of my life. No calls from Mom, no texts from Ethan. Even Megan, who usually dodged family drama, sent a brief message, heard about the house situation. Maybe just apologize and move on. Apologize for what? For buying a home? For wanting privacy? For refusing to let my family make my decisions? I threw myself into making the house my own, painting the guest room lavender, adding floating shelves, hanging a gallery wall of photos. Pumpkin supervised from his sunny spot by the kitchen window, but even the joy of creating my space couldn't fill the emptiness in my chest. I'd won independence, but the cost felt heavier than expected. Nora showed up with Luigi's takeout and a bottle of wine. "Okay, spill," she said, sitting cross-legged on my living room floor with her chicken parmesan. "I heard through the grapevine you bought a house and are feuding with the entire Hartford clan. As your best friend, I'm offended I found out from my hairdresser, whose cousin works at the title company." Nora and I had been close since 7th grade, bonded over terrible cafeteria pizza. She was the one person who never made me feel like I had to apologize for existing, which is probably why I'd avoided her. I knew she'd ask tough questions I wasn't ready to answer. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone, I said, defensive. I just wanted something that was mine, without everyone's opinions or fixes. And instead of enjoying this stunning house, you're eating sad sandwiches and brooding like a gothic heroine. She wasn't wrong. They don't respect me. Never have. Mom got a key from someone else's daughter and gave tour like it was her property. Ethan thought it was fine to discuss my finances behind my back. Even Dad wants me to compromise. So, what's your endgame? Never talk to them again. I stared at my wine, watching the light from my new lampshade dance on the surface. I don't know. 3 days later, everything shifted. I was leaving work when I saw Ethan's Chevy Silverado in the parking lot, but Leela was behind the wheel. As I approached my Honda Civic, she rolled down the window, her expression unreadable. "Can we talk?" she asked. Leela and I had always been polite but distant. She was blonde, bubbly, with a marketing degree and a knack for making Ethan feel like the center of the universe. We'd never had a real conversation beyond family gathering small talk. "If this is about the house," "It is, but not how you think." She gestured to the passenger seat. "Please, 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I climbed in. Leela turned to me, her usual bright smile gone. "I owe you an apology, a big one." That wasn't what I expected. "Ethan doesn't know I'm here, and he'd be furious if he did. But I can't let this go on without telling you the truth." "What truth?" She took a deep breath. "Your mom didn't just randomly show me your house. I asked her to." My stomach dropped. "What? Not like that," she said quickly. "God, this is coming out wrong. Look, Ethan and I are having problems. Financial problems. His dad's company is struggling more than anyone admits, and we're behind on our mortgage. Ethan's too proud to tell your parents how bad it is." I stared, processing. Ethan, the golden boy, was in financial trouble. "When your mom mentioned you'd bought a house, and I swear, Clara, I didn't know it was a secret, I got this desperate idea. I thought maybe you'd rent out a room or let us house sit. I wasn't trying to take your house, just grasping at straws." The pieces clicked into place, forming a picture I didn't like. "So you asked Mom to show you around?" "I asked if she thought you'd be open to roommates. She said she'd look into it. I had no idea she'd break in with a realtor. When Ethan told me what happened, I felt sick. This mess is my fault." We sat in silence, the weight of family secrets settling between us. "Why didn't Ethan just ask me for help?" I said finally. Leela gave a bitter laugh. "Pride, I guess. He's supposed to be the successful one, right? Asking his little sister for help would mean admitting he doesn't have it all figured out. Little sister. Even Leela saw me that way. I'm not little anymore, I said softly. No, she agreed, glancing at my car, my work badge, my independent life. You're not, and for what it's worth, your house is beautiful. You should be proud. That weekend, I made a surprising decision. I invited everyone for dinner, Mom, Dad, Ethan, Leela, and Megan, who drove from Chicago. I sent a group text Saturday morning, family dinner at my place Sunday at 6. Dress casual, I'm cooking. The replies were a mix of confused emojis and cautious acceptances. Mom called twice, but I let it go to voicemail. I had plans to make. Sunday evening, I watched from my kitchen window as they pulled into my driveway. Mom stepped out of Dad's truck, visibly nervous. Ethan and Leela emerged from the Silverado, Leela holding a bottle of wine. Megan arrived last in her battered Subaru, her curly hair spilling from a messy bun. I opened the door before they could knock. Welcome to my home, I said, stepping aside. I gave them a tour, nothing like Mom's unauthorized one, proudly showing each room, explaining my decor choices, highlighting the original features, and introducing Pumpkin. I watched their faces as they took in the space I'd created, maybe seeing me for the first time. Dad ran his hand over the restored mantelpiece, his contractor's eye noting the craftsmanship. Clara, this is, he trailed off at a loss for words. It's gorgeous, Megan finished. I can't believe you did this yourself. Over dinner, homemade lasagna, garlic bread, and a salad with garden vegetables, I told them everything. How I'd saved for 5 years, researched neighborhoods and mortgages, and fell in love with this house the moment I saw the listing. But why didn't you tell us? Mom asked softly. We could have helped. Because I wanted to do it myself, I said simply. Because every time I make a decision, someone in this family has an opinion on how I could do it better. I wanted one thing that was completely mine. Ethan shifted uncomfortably. We don't do that, do we? I looked around the table. Ethan, when I started my photography business, you called it a nice little hobby. Dad, when I got promoted to lead hygienist, you said it was good experience for something more serious. Mom, when I bought my Jeep, you lectured me on why a sedan was more practical. Silence fell. I love you all, I continued. But I needed to prove I could make good decisions without a committee, and I did. I bought a house, it's perfect, and I'm proud of myself. Leela spoke up. I owe you an apology too. About the rental thing, I should have talked to you directly instead of going through your mom. Ethan looked at her, stunned, hearing this for the first time. Money problems? I asked gently. Ethan's jaw tightened, but Leela nodded. The construction business is slow. We're managing, but it's been stressful. I looked at my brother, really looked at him, seeing the stress lines around his eyes, the tension in his shoulders. The golden boy wasn't so golden. If you need help, I began, you can ask me, but you ask directly and you respect my answer. Deal, he nodded, a bit dazed. And Mom, I turned to her. I'm not angry because you tried to help. I'm angry because you didn't trust me to know what I needed. Getting a key to my house, bringing strangers inside, making plans for my property, that's not help. That's control. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I just worry about you. You're so independent, so determined to do everything alone. I appreciate that you worry, but trust that I can handle my life. Even if I make mistakes, they're mine to make. We talked until nearly midnight, airing years of miscommunication and unspoken expectations. It wasn't perfect. There were tears, sharp words, and moments I thought someone might walk out. But it was the most honest our family had been in years. When they left, Mom hugged me tightly at the door. I'm proud of you, she whispered. I should have said that first. As their taillights faded down Maple Ridge Drive, the hollow feeling in my chest began to lift, replaced by something warmer. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Thanks for dinner. The house is amazing. You did good, sis. That night, for the first time in months, I went to bed feeling like I truly belonged, both in my home and with my family, but now on my own terms. And that made all the difference. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.